Tammy and Bob, welcome to the podcast. I am so excited to have you guys here. This is going to be a really fun conversation and something that I love to talk about. Kind of the theme of what we're going with today is a second chance at love. So, welcome both of you to the
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
podcast.
for
much for having
thanks
us.
for having us.
Yes. Like I said, one of my favorite subjects ever. So, but I do want to start with just a little bit of background for both of you. And if you could just share a little bit about your spouses, how long you were married, and then a little bit about the loss for each of you.
Okay, go ahead.
I was married to Barb for over 30 years before we received the diagnosis of metastatic ovarian cancer.
Oh,
And she ended up dying a few years later. It was tough, but it was also in the same time frame that my parents were basically dying. My dad died a little bit before Barb, and then my mom died right before Barb. So it was like three things at once.
oh
We
my gosh.
had three children together, and then now I've gained some more in the new family and lots of grandkids. But so that's a little background. I practiced as a neurologist in Central Illinois for most of that time.
Okay. Yes, Tammy, go ahead.
Okay. So I was married for 25 years, and actually it's the death that started to create tension in my family. My mother-in-law was diagnosed with leukemia, and everyone in the family grieved very differently. And my husband at the time just really withdrew and wasn't speaking for long periods of time. And it really had an effect on our marriage. And after our youngest actually went to college, I knew, he wasn't his self. And he even knew that, he said, I feel like I might be going through a midlife crisis.
Mm.
But he decided to leave. And I asked him why. And he said, we're just not on the same page. And I thought, that's just not a good answer. So, there was no infidelity in the marriage. And I actually was diagnosed with stage 2 melanoma at the time he left with a cast on my foot. I couldn't even drive a car. The timing of it was just
Oh
terrible.
my gosh.
So it was devastating for me. And that divorce went through on our 25th anniversary. So that was a major loss for me to heal over. And
Mhm.
I'm so thankful for the people that do support someone going through hard times. And for me, it was a best friend who called me daily and just checked on me. It's a sister check. How's my sister today? It made me feel like I am not alone in this journey. And she was just a safe place that I could share any thoughts, whatever my struggles were. And after a year, she said to me when she was meeting with me in person in my home, I would like to introduce you to someone. I was really, she saw my whole journey and how I was healing and engaging in life again. And so she knew the timing was right. And she said that she felt like God impressed upon her heart to introduce me to Larry, who was a friend. She was friends with his family. And Larry had been single for 15 years
Mm.
and was just wanting the right woman to come into his life. And he wasn't going to go on dating sites or anything like that. He said, it will just happen. And Ellen knew this, and she just, in her mind, she just knew that we were such a good match. And so we talked about Larry, and I said, tell me about him. And I said, yeah, I'm open to meeting him. So I went to his mother's birthday party with my friend. I spent the night with my friend, and the next day was his mother's birthday party, and I just tagged along. And that's when
Mhm.
I met Larry. And a romance started so quickly. I'm sitting beside him on the couch and my friend is beside me. And then he says, would you like to take a walk? And I said, absolutely. And then we just kind of left the party and took a walk and just started openly sharing. And I thought, I could check off all the things in Larry. I did write a list of all the things that I would look for if I was ever to get in a relationship again. And I was checking off all of those items on my list.
Hmm.
And I knew that this was a door that I wanted to walk through and explore deeper. So we did get married, and it was a very happy occasion. Larry had no kids of his own, and he welcomed mine, and my two boys absolutely adored him. But unfortunately, in a year into our marriage, he's diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Oh,
We went on our honeymoon. We got married in October, went on our honeymoon to Alaska the following July, had a beautiful honeymoon. Everything was going so well. And then in the fall, he started really having terrible symptoms. And in January, so it was almost a year and a half into our marriage, he's diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So unfortunately, in less than 3 years, I went from planning a wedding to planning a funeral.
oh my gosh.
So I often tell people I went through back-to-back losses, and they both were very draining emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of those things. I grieved over each one. But I also focused, when grieving over Larry, I focused on what were things that helped me get through the first loss. And
Mm,
I was able to apply some of those things.
yes, yes, yes.
And
So what year was this that Larry passed away?
2011.
Okay.
And in fact, our spouses died just 1 month apart from each other.
Really? Okay.
For you, it was
It was May.
May 31st, and for me, it was June 30th.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Close, yeah. So then, well, with both of you, did you end up finding this a support group kind of right away or?
But that was interesting because Larry had been in hospice for
3 months?
a number of months.
3 months, yes.
Tammy was still getting TPN, parenteral nutrition, so they wouldn't let her into hospice. But she finally got in just a few days before she died.
Oh, you meant Barb. You said
Mm,
Yeah, Barb, not Tammy. Barb was only in hospice for 3 days, but it turns out we had the same social worker, the same hospice social worker, and she encouraged each of us to explore this life after loss support group.
mhm.
And
I already knew during the 3 months that Larry was in hospice, I was starting to I was going through some preparatory grief,
Mhm.
knowing that this was going to happen. I was going to lose my husband.
Yeah.
So one of my new goals, was to become a hospice bereavement volunteer. Larry made me promise that I would go back to college and get the degree that I always longed for. He said, you'll have the time and the money. So that was something I was going to do. And then I wanted to train to become a hospice bereavement volunteer.
Mm,
So when Larry did pass away, then the social worker had the conversation with me that the grief support group starts the following Tuesday, so I do hope that you will come. I said,
mm,
absolutely. And she said, we cannot go through any training with you until you go through your own grief journey first. So
mm.
she really was wanting me to just focus on my own grief, go through the grief support group.
and interestingly, she asked me if I would come.
Yeah.
And I said, Elizabeth, some of these support groups are just a waste of time. You get somebody in there who talks a lot and nobody else gets to really share their feelings.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I like you, Elizabeth. She was very kind and sweet.
Very much.
And I said, out of respect for you, I'll go to one meeting. And if it's a bust, I'm not going back.
Yeah, yeah. So was this this support group, was it a structured, like it was only going to meet for a month every Wednesday or something like that? Or was it kind of an ongoing thing,
It was a 2-month program.
a 2-month program? Okay.
It's pretty,
Mm.
and on that first meeting, the group really was too large. And, I still have vivid memories of the first meeting and just realizing, oh, there's so much pain in this room. And the leader, the first thing she wanted people to do was state their name, tell us who died. She wanted us to use the word died and what our relationship was with that person. And so some people could not even acknowledge that. They couldn't even
Yeah.
speak. And I had the most recent loss because Larry died on June 30th. And the following Tuesday, the group started. And
Wow.
yeah. Anyway, she said we need to split up this group because it's just too large. And so she gave us 2 sign-up lists, one for people that were working to go to the evening group, and then we would have the afternoon group. So this person came to me and said, Tammy, I know that you would like to be eventually trained in bereavement and become a hospice volunteer. So I think it would be beneficial for you to attend both meetings. And
Oh, yeah.
I like that idea. And one
Yeah.
reason I liked it is that I could learn more. But I was planning to bring my mother-in-law with me to the first meeting, and then I could attend the evening meetings by myself. He, of course, attended the evening meetings. So if I was not asked, then we would not be sitting here beside each other.
Right. Did you meet on at that first meeting? Like, did you actually?
Well, I saw her across the room. The room was very crowded,
Yeah.
and so I didn't really even talk to her that first night.
A lot of women, I think just 2 or 3 men.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 3.
Mm.
And it was interesting because a number of the ladies were very angry at the medical establishment and some doctor who didn't do something right.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. So you
So when I started my revelation, I said, "My name is Bob. My wife Barb died, and you need to know I'm a doctor."
I'm a doctor.
Uh,
Yeah.
they laughed a little bit, but some of them were very, very angry at things that had happened in the medical world.
Yeah.
One thing that we noticed early on is that Bob and I were intentional about grieving. It's not like we weren't acknowledging the grief. We were just hitting it head on. Like, what are the steps I need to do to get through this?
Yeah.
We're not in denial. And so we both were reading a lot of material and we read everything in the book and we journaled. That's something that we have in common. And so when the questions were asked, and would anybody like to share? We sat and we waited, and no one did. And so
Uh,
we were always open to share. And we thought if we start sharing more, then others maybe will be more comfortable. And,
yeah.
and we'll start ourselves trying to encourage people to actually do the journaling because it really is very helpful. So
Right.
that is something that we started encouraging others in our class.
Bob, good for you. Because usually the guys kind of sit back and they're the ones that are not too vocal about anything or wanting to
Right.
share things. I mean, yes, if you are stepping up and sharing, that's definitely going to open up some doors for some other people. So good
Right.
for
Yeah,
you. You guys sort of meet on that first day, and then you're noticing as these meetings keep going on that both of you are sharing in this intentional grieving. And if you're being open and I'm being open, and we're the only two kind of stepping up here, that's definitely noticeable for
Right.
both. You're noticing Bob and he's noticing you. And so where did this kind of connection kind of progress? At what point?
Okay, well, I can't remember how far into the meetings, but further down the road, maybe, 6th or 7th, maybe somewhere in the middle, I was just going to leave. And he spoke to me and said, Hey, Tammy, have a great week. Look forward to seeing you next week. And I felt like I didn't hear him say that to anybody else. I felt kind of like a schoolgirl in seventh grade, you know. Is he interested in me? I had that in my head. And then I just dismissed it. And I thought we're turning into very good friends. And
Mhm.
so everything just continued as normal. Meet on Tuesday nights with the group, share, grieve, do all of our work. And on the very last meeting, our instructor asked us to write down a list of all the things in our wildest dreams that we would like to do for us to think about our new normal. You know, is there a place we would like to visit? Would we goals we want to accomplish? And she said, put some fun things on your list.
Mhm.
So of course, I had on my list, go back to college. I had already enrolled in the fall. I would be starting. But for fun, I wrote ballroom dancing because I grew up in a dance studio as a kid, and
Mhm.
I was there at least 4 days a week, sometimes five,
Oh,
and
wow.
all forms of dance and also tumbling. And ballroom dancing is very popular. And I was watching Dancing with the Stars, and I thought I've never done that. It's just a different form of dance, and I want to move again. It's going to make me just feel alive. So I had already called the facility and asked them, do I have to have a partner or can I just sign up by myself? And they said, well, it's good to bring someone, but if you don't, it's absolutely fine because we rotate everyone. So you will have a partner to dance with. But, you know, if everyone does bring a partner, it even makes things even. So I thought, okay, you know, I'll just plan to go by myself. So I'm sharing my list. And
Mhm.
then at the end of the meeting,
I came over and I said, I know you're a dancer and I'm not. So I'm interested in doing this, but I need to know that you're not going to make fun of me for being so.
and you did say it was something that you and Barb wanted to
That's right.
do
Well,
it.
Barbara and I had talked about it earlier. So Tammy said, "Oh no, I haven't done ballroom dancing,
Yeah.
and I I'll be gentle."
So I thought, you know what? He's a friend. And so,
Mhm.
sure, I feel comfortable in having him come. So we had like our final party the following week. We had pizza party, and our group decided we wanted to continue to support each other. We exchanged emails, phone numbers. And then the following Tuesday, the first ballroom dance started.
Oh my gosh.
And
The
so
very
we
next week.
immediately went from Tuesday night
Yeah.
support group to Tuesday night ballroom dance lessons.
Oh, love
So we
that.
met on the dance floor, you know, we just drove separately there and we met there, and each of us, he said, should I get some special shoes? And I said, definitely you want something, you know, with a leather sole. And so there we are on the dance
Okay.
floor.
Okay. So did the ballroom dancing then turn into other dates? Like how quickly did that happen?
Well, I don't think it was the first night, but soon afterwards, I said, "Why don't why don't we just go get something to eat real quick, talk a little bit?"
Yeah,
And so we started doing that.
we did. And there was more to talk about now. I remember this happening so vividly, and I wrote about it in our book. It's in the first chapter in our book, The Blank Journal. And yeah, it's the whole thing about the ballroom dancing is in there. But I remember the instructors, you know, showing us their moves, and they make it look really easy. And we're trying to do it, and we're doing our count, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And we bump into each other. He's very tall, I'm very short, and you know, stepping on each other's toes. And I laughed. I smiled first, and then I laughed. And then I immediately had tears because I felt guilty about it. And so we
Yeah.
totally stopped while everybody's still moving. And I said, I I don't know what's going on. And Bob said, it's, you know, it's normal. Our feelings can just be here and move to here and just be on one end of the spectrum to the other at any given time.
Yes.
So that's when we decided that, yeah, we still have more to talk about, because that was really the first time I laughed after Larry's death.
Mm.
And it felt uncomfortable to me. And I
Hmm.
thought, I can't talk to him about it because he understands. And then we started
That's
talking
great.
about
No better person to do
exactly.
that with
And
than somebody else who has been through that because, yeah.
truthfully, we kind of worked up an appetite after dancing. So yeah, it was let's dance. And then he said, let's just grab a bite to eat. But these were not dates. These were just, we're dancing and we're going to eat because we're hungry and we still want to
Yeah.
continue to talk and support each other.
Yeah. Just a very comfortable friendship at first. That,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so ballroom dancing keeps continuing. But then I get a phone call. I didn't usually get phone calls from him. It was usually we're just meeting on Tuesday nights. And the phone call was, Tammy, I would like to take you out for dinner. And I knew that that phone call meant a possible shift in what he's wanting in our relationship. And so
Yeah.
I just asked him, I said, I just want to be frank with you. Do you want to meet as friends and just talk? Or are you asking me on a date? And he said, I'm asking you
Yeah.
on it. And I said, oh,
Yeah.
that changes things. And
Yeah.
so I really had to think about it. And I actually was fearful of going through a relationship again and love and loss. And so I decided because I like him as a friend and I see so much potential in him, I will meet with him and then I will tell him that all the reasons why he needs to look somewhere else. And I'll support him in that journey.
Yeah, it was funny. We got there and she brought up one thing and then she'd bring up another thing and she'd bring up something else. And I'd just listen and I'd say,
But then
okay,
we continued to meet. We'd like go on
well,
hikes and
well,
walks and
well, let me finish it. Before the end of the evening, I said, it seems to me like you're trying to shunt me aside here. And you really haven't given me one good reason for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
so yeah, I just wanted him to know, I just feel like our backgrounds were very different. So as much as I saw all these very positive attributes in him, I felt like our backgrounds were really different. And I honestly didn't know how compatible we were. So I would tell him about things in my past, that I'm sure, you can't relate to this. And for instance, my dad and that trauma that I went through with the loss of my father. And so we just kept sharing. And then he kept saying, I think you're trying to push me away. And it just isn't.
It's not
So
working.
he decided I needed to know two things. Number one, are we compatible? Because I'm not sure that I feel like we are compatible enough to be in a married relationship. And number two, have we both healed to start a new relationship? And
Mm.
so we decided to go to see a Christian counselor.
Okay.
And I got my
That's true because at this point, it wasn't, I mean, how many months past the
we're
loss
like
for both
at
of
this
you?
point,
Just
we're like 5 months out
five
from the
months.
death
Okay.
of our spouses, 5 to 6, roughly,
Yeah.
probably.
And another interesting thing is we were coming from two different church backgrounds. So we picked a Christian counselor who was not particularly connected with either church.
Yeah.
We wanted it to not feel like we were being pushed by our own denomination.
And he grew up
Mhm.
as a missionary child in the Philippines, and I grew up on a farm. And I'm thinking, I just can't even see myself as being married to a doctor. There's just so many things that were going through my head. And it's like
Mhm.
he's so humble and he's so compassionate and kind and so many amazing attributes. And he would be an
Yeah.
amazing husband for someone. I'd even love to play matchmaker.
That's true. But you also had the anticipatory grief that both of you had already gone through
We
and
did.
that period of time um where to a person that has not been through this and has not experienced loss, when they look at something like that, they all they see is it's only been 5 months for them. But both of you had already grieved for months and months
Exactly.
prior to the actual loss.
Yes. It was
So,
a 15-month journey with Larry.
right, right.
And
It was
similar.
probably, yeah, it was probably 15 or 18 months.
And you are correct. Preparatory grief, you cannot prepare for the actual day that you lose them, and it's very devastating. But yes, you are seeing your spouse, um, you're seeing the cancer,
Hmm.
slowly take their life away. They're losing their ability to, if Larry wasn't able to eat for the last month, of his
Yeah.
life. He wasn't even able to swallow. And it's like, yes, I am seeing him whittle away before my very eyes. And I do have to prepare myself for what is my life going to look like.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Other family members who may be in other cities or who aren't quite as connected don't get that.
They don't.
No.
In fact, I got an email from one of Barb's sisters. I think it was in November, and she included me in an email to all her sisters and said, "I think we ought to try to get together with Barb in March." And I wrote back right away, and I said, "I don't know if she'll be here much.
Oh,
I don't know that that's if you want to see Barb, you need to come down."
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they didn't all make it right away, but over the next few months, several of them were able to come, and the ones who couldn't come called and talked to her. So
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
purgatory grief is a real thing. And you're right. We both went through that. And
Yes.
we were mindful of knowing others that we were farther along in the journey than others. We were very
Hmm.
mindful of that.
Yes. So when it came to talking to friends and family about this new relationship that was happening, despite your efforts to stop it, Tammy.
Well, I would love to tell you
What?
what made me go forward, actually.
Yes. Okay.
So we did meet with a Christian counselor, and I'm sharing all of my apprehension. And he said, well, have you take a compatibility test. And so we did that in our own homes, mailed him in, and the following Sunday evening, he gave us our results. And he said, I've been a counselor for over 30 years, and I've never seen anything like this. And I'm like, on the edge of my seat, thinking,
Yeah.
okay, this is finally going to be what's going to have Bob understand. And anyway, it turned on me. It turned against me. He said, a score of 60 is a high score for couples who have known each other a long time. And he said, your scores are off the charts. Had 3 100s and 290s. At 170 in a category of raising children, which we had never done together.
Right.
So
Wow.
he's never in 30 years seen scores that high. I still, to this day, have those scores in my file cabinet because I'm like, sometimes we do not see the blessings that are right in front of us.
No.
We need somebody else to get it in our head. This new door has opened. Are you willing to take the risk to walk through it? So
Yeah.
that's how I decided to move forward.
So everything in you and all the feelings that you're trying to deny, and the universe puts a test in front of you. And here, finally, you can see it. It's in black and white.
Yes.
This is what you need. The
Yes.
proof.
And my family, now with your other question, my family I knew would be supportive of me seeking a new relationship. I was very close with Larry's family, very close, especially to his mother and his siblings. And one thing that I was doing is I was painting her house because it was therapeutic for me to do this during my grief. And I was doing everything, trim, doors, walls. So it was a long time that I was spending at her home. But one day in particular, she asked me, you seem different, Tammy. Is there something
Ah,
you'd like to tell me? And I sat down and talked to
wow.
her. I know. I sat down and had a conversation with her. And I said, I don't know if you remember the tall man that you would have met in the very first grief support group before we split. She's like, yeah, the doctor. I said,
Ah,
yeah.
the
I said,
doctor.
I'm dating him. We just became very good friends and we're starting to spend more time together. And she said, I'm so happy for you.
Ah, yes, that's
And I said to both her and her husband, I said, Mom and Dad, I'd like you to meet him. Are you open to meeting him? And they said, absolutely. And so they had him come over for dinner. And
So I walk into the room and he looks up at me and he
yes,
says, "Hello, son."
welcome. And I thought these people are
yes.
so loving and so well.
Yeah. Wow.
And so actually when we got married, his sister stood up with me and to give me away. And actually all the family members of even Barb's family. We had
Ah,
when the pastor said, who gives this woman away, all of the family members of our former spouses are the ones that stood up to give me away.
no way.
It was so
Wow.
beautiful. So
Oh,
I had the support of Larry's family. I had the support of my friends. I had the support of my family and my children. I'll let you speak about your family.
Well, initially, I think they weren't negative, but they were a little uncertain.
Yeah.
Over
hmm
time, it's been a little harder. I think that they miss their mother. The girls especially miss their mom a lot. And Tammy is not Barb. I mean, they're different people. And I think they miss Barb. Uh, I miss Barb too, but it's like when you're a parent and you have three children, you love them all, but
hmm
they're not the same people. You don't expect the oldest to act like the middle or like the youngest. They're different.
Right.
So Tammy has a very special place in my heart that Barb never had, and vice versa. And we talk openly about Barb and Larry.
Mhm.
So
Nice to be able to um that just acknowledge that this is the new relationship and I respect this relationship for what it is and what we are trying to build together and then still be able to remember and smile and laugh and share those memories that you had before. It's a totally different life. I mean,
It is.
it's a different life with a different person and
Yeah. But
yeah.
I love that it's just non-threatening that, we may be on a vacation and we'll say, well, you know, when Larry and I were here, this is something we did. Would you be interested in doing it? Because it was so much fun. Or, they can just come up in our conversation at any time.
Yes.
And it's
That's
very non-threatening.
that's
yeah.
actually how we ended up living in Florida. She said to
Oh,
me,
it's
we were
amazing.
riding our bicycle in all 50 states, which is part of what that book is about. And when it came time to do a ride in Florida, she said, we visited Pensacola Beach, and it was really a cool
There's
place.
a really nice long bike trail and it's right by the beach. It's beautiful.
And when she said we, she meant her and Larry.
Yes.
And I said, sure, let's go. I love the beach and I love flat bike trails.
Yeah.
So we came down here and then go ahead.
Well, when I was here with Larry, it's just amazing how some things come full circle. When I was down here with Larry, we just loved this beach so much. We were staying in Alabama, but we kept crossing over an hour here into Florida. And we loved the white sand and the emerald water. And, he's living out his bucket list while dying of, from
Mm,
cancer. And that was my first memoir that I wrote, Why Not Me? Because that journey was so amazing to see someone just living life to the fullest while they're dying. I just had to
yeah.
think about it. So here he is at the beach picking up seashells. And I looked at these beautiful condos behind us. I said, wouldn't that be a nice place to retire? It's just so serene and the beach is just right in front of you. And he said, yeah, it would. So as Bob and I are riding our bike, I said, stop, that's it. That's the place I said to Larry, wouldn't that be a nice place to retire? And mind you, by this time we had been traveling all over the United States riding our bike. And we knew that eventually we would, when he retired, move somewhere else, but we didn't know where. But he said, "Do you want to go in and take a look?" And I said, "Really?"
We were all sweating. We had our helmets on.
So we did. We came in and took a look and walked into a 3-bedroom condo and said, "This is beautiful."
Oh,
And we
wow.
couldn't get it out of our mind. We got back home and then we came back and we said, "We want to look at more units. What do you have for sale?" We ended up
Wow.
retiring and we now live at the same place. I said to Larry, "Wouldn't that be a great place to retire?"
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I know all these full circle moments. Um, well, okay, so how long did you guys date before you got engaged?
Well, a lot of people talk about you shouldn't make a major life decision for a year.
Mhm.
And that is not written in stone anymore.
Right.
And for us, we had been grieving for, a long time. And so it went a little faster. We still were planning, we got engaged about 6 months after we first met, but
Okay.
we weren't planning to get married till a year.
That's right.
But we checked into venues and we wanted this one place where we had been taking our dance lessons.
Mhm.
Oh,
They didn't have any openings in June when we had first met, or July, or August, but they had something, they had one possibility in April.
Mhm.
So we decided instead of waiting till September,
yeah.
we're going to get married in April. So,
So it's just, a month short from a year from when.
Right. Right.
So we had
Wow.
quite the party. We, had
Yeah.
so many family members and friends that knew our sad story and that had watched this journey unfold. And we thought this needs to be a really good celebration.
Now, did you start writing this book? The Blank Journal is your book.
Yeah.
When did you start writing that and kind of what inspired that?
Okay. Well, when we got married, we told everyone no presents. All we had on the table is notes to Bob and Tammy. And we said, "Give us advice." And
Ah,
and then we have, a compilation of all of those things that people wrote to us. That was the gift that we wanted. But one person gave us a blank journal. And so when we got married, we had this blank journal, and Bob said to me, "Right now, let's write down in our wildest dreams, where do we want to go? What do we want to accomplish? Think of everything." And he knew that I had worked on Larry's bucket list with him and that we were traveling
mm,
and we were pursuing every place that he wanted to go and things that he wanted to do. And that was part of my journey with Larry. And here we are in midlife wanting to create lots of memories.
yeah.
So he was a biker, and so he suggested putting biking on our list.
yeah, at first I just said, let's do some tandem biking together because we had a beautiful tandem bike. But then we talked about it some more and we said, these need to be really cool goals. Why
Yeah.
put down biking in all 50 states? Now, not biking all the way across the United States.
Just biking in the state.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
usually we bike about 20 miles.
Wow.
And it's very therapeutic for us, and we can talk easily to each other. And so the book is so much, that's why it's biking in all 50 states and so much more. It still is part of our grief journey that we're talking about. We had some of our best conversations when we were out there on the bike trails. And we learned so much more about each other because we had obstacles that we had to overcome. Like,
Yeah.
what are we going to do to solve this problem?
Yes.
It
So when
was
did you start? When did you start the biking adventure?
soon
Well,
after.
soon after we got married, we did our first ones close to where we lived. We went over to Indiana and then not long after we went up to Minnesota.
I think, yeah, we were married in 2012, and I think we started it in 2013. So
Okay.
anyway, about halfway in the journey of biking, well, I'm a photographer. We're both journalers, and we keep Shutterfly books. So I don't know if
Oh,
you've,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, so we have this whole collection of all of our travels. But we were
Wow.
doing Shutterfly books because not only were we biking, we stayed in that state and we found beautiful places to go on hikes and things to do. And so we were just keeping a biking vacation book for our own uh, keepsake.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
we started realizing there's so many good stories in this. It's not just about biking. It's our life journey, and it's part of our healing, and the conversations we're having and what we're learning about each other is all part of our journey. So I said, what do you think about making a book? And he said, I think it's a great idea. So the
Yeah.
very first thing we did is we bought a motor home because then it made it easier for us to travel.
Yeah.
And as Bob is driving, I said, first thing I think we should do is just come up with our chapter titles because, how are we going to organize our thoughts in this book? So we came up with chapter titles. And then after we did that, we started recalling stories and obstacles that we could place in the different categories.
Oh, okay. So what are some of the chapter titles?
The first one is change, and change is where we introduce the ballroom dancing and our life-taking
Yes.
180-degree turnaround. We're
Yes.
starting anew. So the first one is change. Breakthroughs and discoveries. What are things that we discovered about each other and we discovered
Mm.
about life as we're traveling? Our adventures. Some of our trips were so adventurous. The big splurge is about when we bought the RV. Murphy's Law. There's always things that will go wrong. And the last chapter is on it's not the destination, it's the journey. Because
Oh, yeah.
really, life is a journey.
I know. So, can you kind of touch on? I always talk about finding purpose and, finding meaning after everything that you've been through, after a loss. And then also the idea of just goal setting in general. A lot of people struggle with that and they can't find the right steps forward. So, what would be kind of some advice to some of our listeners about?
I would
Well,
like you to talk about the goal setting, and
yeah.
I'll talk
Mhm.
about purpose.
Um, Tammy got an email from a serve kind of thing, and it was a quote by Dr. Ray Pritchard. He said, "You can't go back. You can't stay here. You must go forward."
Yeah.
And she
Mhm.
shared that with me, and that was very helpful as I thought about that.
Mhm.
It's easy to get stuck thinking about why did this happen, or I wish that I'd done things differently, but it's not like that's going to always be the case. So that was one thing. And then another thing was, uh, as you look toward the future, what are you going to do? As you say, you must go forward.
Mhm.
Doing
Yeah.
what? So
Doing
that's
what?
where we
Yeah.
got into the goal setting.
Yeah. And we still, as we cross things off our list, we keep adding things to it. I mean, we have new goals now that we didn't have initially.
Okay. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
instance, we have 13 grandkids together. Who would have
Oh,
thought
wow.
us with 13 grandkids? And so we're taking, when they turn 13, our oldest just turned 13 last year. And when they turn 13, we're taking them on a trip, wherever they choose,
Oh,
to spend just
fun.
a week with Grammy and Papa. But you are a very much you focus on goals, and he's encouraged me more to focus on goals. Something that you said to me, and I think it's a very good motto, is that life is just meaningless without goals
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and goals and purpose. And they do tie together because when we talk about purpose, I did not really understand it as well as I do now after going through loss. And
Hmm.
I really feel like we are here as relational beings.
Yes.
And our experiences, if we share them and we are transparent, which I believe we both are, it really can encourage someone else and it can provide hope for someone else. And in that way, I have found it to be my purpose now. My purpose in life right now is twofold: to provide hope for others, to let them see that I have been grieving a long time throughout my life. I'm still
Hmm.
now over the loss of my son, but I still have purpose. I can encourage other people through this because it's a hard and long journey. But I am open to the new chapters in my life. Even though I've gone through loss, I am open to living because you can live a fulfilling life by
Hmm.
carrying forward the people that you've lost. They're a part of my journey. They're all
Right.
here and I carry them forward with me. So every time I speak and every time I write a book, every time I share at a weekend retreat, I have them with me. They're the ones that are carrying me forward. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. And it gives your life purpose when you're able to encourage and help other people.
Yes.
And the one thing that I learned with being a hospice bereavement volunteer, and it is part of my purpose, is that they all had something in common. Every single dying patient spoke of regrets. They all had regrets, regrets for
Mm.
not forgiving someone, regrets for not being a better spouse, regrets for not
Ah,
taking the money, spending the money on that family vacation, you know,
yeah.
regrets for not retiring earlier. So many
Mm.
regrets. And I thought, I will never, ever forget this. I'm living right now. And I know that someday I will die. And I want to minimize my regrets. And
Yeah.
so that is part of my purpose is what can I do to minimize my regrets?
Wow. Wow.
You know,
That would,
I played a lot of basketball when I was a kid, and one of the things that my coach, well, I had the same coach for a whole bunch of years, really drilled into us is when you screw up, don't let it get into your head. Think about what you do, what you need to do right now to make things better. And it's funny because, you know, I quit playing competitive basketball when I was 18, uh,
hmm.
many, many years. But I often think, okay, that went wrong. That was painful. What do we do next?
Yeah.
And that has been very helpful for me.
Yeah.
What's next? Yeah. What's next? That's, it's a tough question to face
Yeah.
when you're in the thick of grief, you know?
Yes.
What's
And so
next?
now together, since we've been, we've had many losses individually, but together we've had losses. We lost a grandson. We wanted to be more educated on losses, so we became certified in grief, and
Hmm.
we feel called to help people understand not only if you're the one grieving, but it's mainly for people that just need to know how to best companion someone through grief. But we like to educate people on that and what are things that they can do to best walk someone through this journey. Because unfortunately, I feel very sad that our society does not know how to cater to people that are grieving. Many are left alone in this journey.
That's true.
And
Hmm.
so that's very important to us. So, we have kind of a motto to be the one. If we see the need, be the one. Be for
Yeah.
someone else what you once needed. We're
Part,
very passionate about encouraging others through difficult times because we've been through them.
Yeah.
part of that is tricky because it's easy to impose your own image on of what they need. And
Ah.
that's it. And so one of the important things is to let them do the talking, to let them share
Hmm.
what they need, but to be present.
Well, you guys have an amazing story. I mean, how long have you been married now?
We're just about ready to
13 years?
celebrate our anniversary. How many years? Let's see if we get
14.
it right.
14.
14.
14.
14.
Wow.
Been an amazing journey. Who would have thought that, we got married and my oldest son and his wife were expecting. So then we had our first grandbaby born in May and we were married in April. And then the next one came in December and they haven't stopped. We just had one born last year. So 13 grandchildren.
Wow.
And
What a crazy life ride, huh?
yeah, it's been
That is just,
amazing to
that's
grandmother.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love your love story. Uh, I love how Tammy fought that what was so obvious to the universe.
Yeah.
But this is so great. I'm so happy to have you guys on to just kind of share all of those thoughts. I hear from so many widows who are just reluctant to, they're scared. They're scared to get into another relationship. They're scared to go through another loss. That alone would stop a lot of people. They
Yeah.
don't want to go through that pain again, you
And
know?
that was me. But look
So,
at look at what I would have missed out on
right,
if I
right.
had not been open.
Just being open to living a fulfilling life and open to happiness,
I do want to
despite
say
what could
that,
happen.
it may not be for everyone. We know people that have never remarried, and that's okay. But what we would encourage people is to still live a fulfilling life, still write down those goals and still, live with purpose and passion.
Mm.
It can be, your energy can go into volunteering or any other direction. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a relationship. But for us, the way we're wired, we really don't like, neither one of us like going through life alone.
Right.
Barb was right in saying that he processes the world best through a partner. And I think that's true for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for today. Where can we find out more about you? Where can we get the book? Kind of point us in all of the directions, website
Okay.
and things.
Well, we have a website. It's www.tammycranston.com. And I do post blogs that would be helpful for people. My most recent blog is on finding your new normal, and I give
Okay.
helpful tips. But all of our books are listed there as well. I wrote a children's series, which I'm very proud of. It's won 3 awards, and it introduces loss.
Wow.
It introduces loss in the very first book. But I wanted to show that you can live a purposeful and very productive, fulfilling life. So you follow the seedling's journey as a young seedling who lost his Grandpa Okie, and then until he now becomes the old Grandpa Okie. And he carries Grandpa Okie with him in his heart. So it introduces loss in a beautiful way, and it has questions to get children talking. So all of the
Oh,
books
awesome.
are listed on www.tammycranston.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Tammy Cranston Author, and then all of our books, of course, are on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and any.
Very cool. I'm going to put the links in the show notes for
Oh,
today.
great.
So,
Okay.
Great.
yes. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here. This was such a pleasure talking to both of you.
Yeah,
Thank you
same
so much for
here.
having us.
You're a gracious host.